Hello, YouTube. Today decided to turn the United States into a circle for some reason, and it did not turn out very well for the first few tries, as you'll see. These are all my first attempts. Basically what I was trying to do with all of these attempts was to give all the states the same borders that they already had. So, like, say, California. Like, in this attempt, it would have to border Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona. And I really realized, whoa, that is not gonna work. So I did another attempt, and I still had the same idea. And I kind of kept this idea throughout the whole thing. I also kept the idea that the states had to be pretty similar size to what they actually are now. And it's just hard because, like, okay, states like Florida, well, this is California that you see, but states like Florida are like peninsula, and like, where do you put that? Because it takes up so much coastline that the other states won't get a coastline. And I realized on this attempt, I gave Florida a whole coastline, but Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama didn't get anything, and I restarted again. So, the third attempt, I made sure I had all the coastline states at the coastline. And so here's the thing with this map. It's basically saying that the outside of it, like the outside portion, is all water, not any other country. And it's basically saying, so this circular area is like an island. Just a perfect circle island. And as you see, when I started to color them, I forgot about Louisiana and the South. And I was like, where am I going to put these places? So I tried fixing it, and it did not work. So I had to restart again. And finally, on this next attempt, when I did it, it finally worked out. So, yeah, you can see I was putting Texas at the bottom. And I didn't put Arizona and New Mexico at the bottom because I don't feel like it would represent them to have a water border. So you'll see in my next attempt, when I do it, I save a space on the side of Texas for Arizona and New Mexico. And then with that, Texas and California have a border. And I think that works out pretty well. So I made California a bit smaller, and in this attempt I made straighter lines. And then I did Texas. I was gonna do a square at the bottom, but then I was like, that doesn't look like Texas at all. So I like put the little thing, and it just made it like a weird, like, two-part shape. And then I did the South, like I forgot to do last time. So that's Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. And it was hard to figure out Georgia because I didn't know what to do with Florida, because I had to squeeze it in that area. So I made Georgia a weird shape. That's Georgia up on the top. And then below that is Florida, because I wanted to give Florida a lot of coastline, like they already have. Then I did Nevada. I squished it a little bit. Arizona and New Mexico, which turned out smaller than they actually are. And then Tennessee was hard because Tennessee's a long state, but I couldn't get it like in the perfect shape to go above Mississippi and Alabama, so I just had to make it rectangular. Oklahoma got a huge panhandle, as you see, and the other state next to Texas is Arkansas. Then I did South and North Carolina, and I just went up the coastline, so I did Virginia next, and then I did Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. I think, Maryland I gave a huge panhandle to too. But I think I did this section actually of the country pretty well. I gave the little okay, here's the hard thing with this whole area. The Great Lakes make it really difficult, and like, states that border should not be bordering, but you can't go around that. So the state above Pennsylvania is New York. And then I also had to have New England on the side, where all of them get a coastline. So I just made them weird looking straight borders. So that's up to Maine. And then I went back to the West Coast. I did Oregon, Washington, and basically what I'm doing is saving the whole top of the map for Alaska, as you'll see. And then I think Idaho got a very good shape. It's obviously, I didn't plan all the borders, so it's a little bit weirdly shaped, but and then I went up to the Midwest and I did Michigan. I know it doesn't have two parts, but like there's no lake to separate them. And then I did Wisconsin, and Montana got a good shape too. And then I kind of like squished them up to make almost like a pyramid shape. So that's Minnesota. And then the highest point in the U.S. is then North Dakota and South Dakota. And then I went down into the middle. I did Utah. Colorado's got very small. Wyoming. And then I had to make these states a bit bigger than they actually would be. So that's Nebraska and Kansas. And then I did Indiana and Illinois, and they got kind of ripped off. Iowa, and then that big one that was left was Missouri. And then I didn't forget about Hawaii, which I did on the South California coast. And then that whole top section is just left for Alaska. And now I did the coloring, which I think is pretty satisfying. I did pretty kiddie colors, but like I wanted them to be bright and pop. So I just kind of went randomly around the map. And if you forgot which state was which, I'm going to put the state names in each one. And I think I did pretty good. There's a lot of like 4 corners or even 5 corners, as you can see. I don't know if there's a 5-corner one. I think the East Coast actually turned out the best. Like up to like Ohio and Kentucky. Kentucky got weirdly shaped and Tennessee got weirdly shaped because they're long states, but it's really hard to do long states because the US is more horizontal than vertical, but the circle makes it that they're equal. So some of the longer states have to be squished down, as you can see. So they have to like be more vertical because it's equal, right? Horizontal. And then I just put Alaska at the top. So I went through and put the names on all the states. Some states had to do abbreviations because it was hard to fit the whole name into it. And I was actually pretty happy with this. I liked it. Even though it took 3 attempts, I think it turned out really well. And tell me in the comments what could have been better. Maybe I'll do another one where I do a different shape, like a heart. I think a heart would actually be a really good one. And subscribe if you like the video, and thank you for watching. And here's also just like a picture of it. Here's the final picture.